You ever wonder how close you were to making it the last time you quit? Not months away, not years, maybe just one more phone call, one more rep, one more day. But you'll never know now, will you? Because you quit. And the world didn't stop. No lightning strike, no dramatic collapse. Life just moved on. And maybe that's the scariest part. How quiet quitting feels, how acceptable it is, how nobody calls you out for walking away from the very thing you once swore you wanted. But I'm not here to pat your back and say it's okay. I'm here to say never again. Because the truth is, you didn't lose because you weren't good enough. You lost because you stopped swinging. You let doubt speak louder than your drive. You mistook discomfort for a sign to retreat. This world doesn't reward, almost. It doesn't hand out medals for intentions. It crowns the ones who stay in the fight, even when it's lonely, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. So before you let your next excuse walk you away from something you were born for, you better ask yourself, what if I never quit again? What if I didn't run this time? What if I didn't need proof, applause, or permission? What if I just kept going, no matter how ugly, slow, or uncertain it got? Because the moment you stop waiting to feel ready, the moment you stop needing everything to feel easy, that's the moment you become untouchable. You want strength, you earn it. You want peace, fight for it. You want to win, refuse to quit. Now let's talk about what that actually means. Because saying it is cute. Living it, that's a whole different beast. Ready? Let's go. They'll always tell you it's okay to quit. They'll wrap it up in fancy words like pivot, take a break, step away, choose peace, and sometimes, yes, quitting looks gentle, justified. Sometimes it looks like self-care. But underneath all of it, 9 out of 10 times it's still the same thing, giving up. And giving up is easy. That's why everyone does it. That's why your phone contacts are filled with people who started something and never finished it. It's why people build dreams with all their heart, only to tear them down with excuses when it gets hard. It's why New Year's resolutions die by February. Why I'm working on it becomes a lifelong song. Because it's easier to make peace with failure than it is to go another round with discomfort. You know what's hard? Not quitting. You know what's hard? Showing up again after you've been knocked down, when the results didn't come, when the people didn't support you, when the plan didn't go as planned. When it's 3 a.m., and you're asking yourself if you're even cut out for this. And you're tired of fighting, tired of hoping, tired of chasing something that seems to be running faster than you. That's when quitting feels reasonable. That's when it shows up like a friend, whispering, "It's okay, you've done enough. Just stop." And that voice is in all of us. But some of us listen and some of us don't. See? What most people don't realize is that quitting is not a one-time thing. It's a decision you rehearse. You do it once, it feels awful. You do it twice, it feels easier. You do it a few more times, and it becomes automatic. Now, you don't even call it quitting. You just call it changing direction. But deep down, you know when you walked away because you were scared, not strategic. When you chose the path of least resistance because the road got dark. And you carry that with you, whether you admit it or not. Quitting becomes a pattern. It leaks into how you train, how you love, how you commit. Because if you quit on your goals, you'll eventually quit on yourself. You'll settle, you'll shrink, you'll tell yourself that this is enough, even when every part of you knows it's not. And society doesn't help. We celebrate quick wins. Instant fame, overnight success. We want the body without the gym, the business without the grind, the relationship without the patience. But nobody posts the part where they wanted to give up every single day and still didn't. Nobody claps for that part. But that's the part that that's the part that builds something worth keeping. Because let's get real, anything worth building will make you want to quit. You'll want to quit the gym when progress slows. You'll want to quit your job when no one sees your effort. You'll want to quit your relationship when things stop feeling new. You'll want to quit on yourself when you feel like you're not enough. But if you give up every time it gets heavy, you'll spend your whole life starting over. New plans, new people, new projects, all unfinished. So the question is, how long are you willing to stay in it when the excitement fades and the work begins? Because the truth is, The moment you say, I'm not quitting, your brain starts looking for another option, another way, another attempt, another reason to. But the moment you even entertain quitting, you've already surrendered your power. Now you're negotiating with your weakness. Now you're dancing with doubt. Now you're building your case for why quitting makes sense instead of making quitting impossible. Listen carefully. If you always have a backup plan, you're never really in it. If you always leave a door open, you'll always find your way out. You want change, you want strength, then you close every exit. You lock the door behind you. You look your goals in the eye and say, there is no escape route. I will figure it out. I will endure this. I will keep going. I don't care if it takes months or years. I will not fold. I will not flinch. I will not quit. And maybe you won't be the smartest in the room. Maybe you won't have the most talent, but you'll outlast them. You'll win because they stopped and you didn't. You'll win because your threshold for discomfort was higher. You'll win because you decided that quitting wasn't on the table ever. Not because it never got hard, not because you never doubted yourself, but because you knew the pain of quitting is worse than the pain of persistence. And you made your choice. So yeah, quitting is easy. That's why everyone does it. But you're not here to be like everyone. You're here to be unbreakable. You're here to finish what you started. You're here to say, even if I fall, even if I crawl, even if I move inch by inch, I will never quit. Not this time. Not ever. People think pain is the problem, that if it hurts, it must be wrong, that if it's hard, they must be failing, but they've got it backwards. Pain isn't your enemy. Comfort is the slow poison. It feels nice going down, but it robs you of your edge. It silences your instincts. It keeps you tame, predictable, and safe, while everything you want lives far outside of it. You weren't built for a life wrapped in bubble wrap. You were built for challenge, for tension, for pressure. That's how you grow. That's how you earn strength that actually lasts. Pain is proof that you're in motion. It means you're stretching into something unfamiliar, something meaningful. The people you admire, the ones who made it, who changed something, they didn't get there because it was easy. They got there because they made peace with pain. They looked it in the face and said, you're part of the process, because they knew if there's no pain, there's no transformation. But most people run from pain like it's a threat. They want results without resistance, growth without discomfort. They say things like, it's not supposed to feel this hard, or maybe the universe is telling me this isn't for me. No. Sometimes the universe is testing you. Sometimes it wants to know, how bad do you want it? Are you really who you say you are when it's not exciting anymore? We want to be warriors, but avoid the battlefield. We want purpose, but resist pressure. But pressure is where identity is forged. It's in the workouts that make you want to throw up, the conversations that shake your ego, the early mornings when no one sees you grinding. That is where you meet your real self. Not when everything is going right, but when you're barely holding on and still refuse to back down. See, pain shows up with a gift, and you can only unlock it by sitting with it, by pushing through it, by not blinking when it screams. That pain might be emotional, physical, financial, even spiritual, but the lesson is the same. Growth is on the other side. Think about it. What made you stronger in life? What actually built you? Was it the vacations, the applause, the easy seasons? Or was it the heartbreak that forced you to rebuild? The failure that broke your confidence and made you fight for it? The job you hated but stayed in because you had to feed your family? The days you showed up when nobody cared, but you did it anyway? You don't grow in the soft spaces. You grow when it's hard, when it's uncertain, when it feels like it might break you. And let me tell you something else. Comfort lies. It tells you you're okay where you are, that you've done enough, that you should take it easy. And the more you listen, the more you settle, the more you compromise, the more you shrink your life to fit your fears. That's how potential dies, not with a crash, but with a whisper, with the slow daily choice to avoid what hurts, to avoid what stretches, to avoid what demands more. Comfort wants you obedient. Pain wants you strong. You want to build something that lasts? You want to be someone worth remembering? You want to stop quitting every time it gets hard? Then you need to flip the script. You need to stop asking, how do I avoid pain? And start asking, where's the pain trying to take me? Because pain doesn't show up to punish you. It shows up to promote you. When your legs burn in that final sprint, it's your body saying we're becoming something we've never been. When your heart aches from disappointment, it's your spirit saying we're letting go of what we've outgrown. When your mind is tired, but you still choose to show up, it's your future self being carved out in real time. Pain is the fire. It melts the weak parts, the fake parts, the excuses, and it leaves behind the steel. But only if you stay in it, only if you stop seeing it as a signal to stop and start seeing it as a sign that you're alive, you're trying, you're reaching for something more. Because that's what separates the ones who talk from the ones who build, the ones who post quotes from the ones who live them, the ones who dream from the ones who do. So if it hurts right now, good. If it's uncomfortable, good. That means you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're not lost. You're not weak. You're in the work. You're in the resistance. You're doing the very thing most people avoid their whole life. Stay there. Sit in the sweat. Don't pull away. Don't reach for the quick escape. There is gold on the other side of that pain. Wisdom, power, pride, confidence. You just have to hold on long enough to see it. Because comfort will lull you to sleep. But pain will wake you up. And if you're serious about never quitting, you have to learn this now. Comfort makes promises. It never keeps. But pain delivers every single time. There comes a point in your journey, whether it's chasing a goal, healing from something, building a business, becoming the person you're meant to be, where you look around and realize something, you're alone. Not kind of alone. Not a little unsupported. Alone. And it shocks people. It breaks some because we're taught that support is a given, that if you're doing something great, the world will cheer, that people will understand, encourage, lift you up. But the truth, the deeper you go into your purpose, the quieter it gets around you. People don't always get it. Your ambition makes them uncomfortable. Your discipline feels like judgment to the ones who quit on themselves. Your consistency becomes a mirror for someone else's lack. And slowly, the claps die down. The texts stop. The energy changes. You start walking through rooms where nobody notices the weight you're carrying. And that's where a lot of people stop, right there. They confuse loneliness with being on the wrong path. They assume the silence means something's off. They think if no one's around, maybe I'm not supposed to do this. Wrong. That moment, that exact moment of isolation, that's where the shift begins. That's where the old version of you starts to die. And the real one is born. Because when you're alone, all the noise is gone. No distractions, no approval, no applause, just you and your choices, your thoughts, your intentions, your pain. And that's when it gets real. You find out who you are when no one is watching. You find out what you believe when no one's reminding you. You find out how badly you want it when no one is motivating you. And that's the version of you that can't be taken away. That can't be swayed by public opinion or likes or external energy. That's the real you, the one built in the dark, not the spotlight. There is power in solitude. If you don't run from it, there is clarity in silence. If you don't rush to fill it, there is identity in the loneliness if you dare to face it. You want to know why some people are unstoppable? It's not because they're better. It's because they stopped needing anyone else to believe in them first. They stopped waiting for backup. They learned how to carry their own vision when no one else could see it. They showed up alone again and again until it became natural, until solitude felt like a training ground, not a punishment. When you learn to operate without applause, you become dangerous. Because now you're not doing it for validation. You're doing it for evolution. You're not chasing the spotlight. You're becoming something greater than it. And that's when people start to notice, but by then you won't even care. Because once you've sat in silence and pushed through anyway, you've already won. Once you've cried through it and kept going, nothing can touch you. Once you've built discipline in a room where nobody was clapping, you're untouchable. But you don't get that without walking through the loneliness. You don't get that by being surrounded. You don't get that by constantly being seen. You get it when you show up with no crowd, no celebration, just a commitment. You'll spend weeks, months, even years working on something and wonder if anyone sees you. You'll question if you're wasting your time. You'll have days where it feels like you're invisible. That's not failure. That's the fire. That's the test. Can you keep showing up when no one's watching? Can you stay locked in when there's nothing immediate to gain? Can you move with faith when all you have is discipline? Because that's where 99% of people quit. Not because it got too hard, but because it got too quiet. Because it felt empty. Because they couldn't handle walking forward without a crowd behind them. But if you can stand in that silence and keep moving, you'll discover a level of self-respect that no compliment can replace. You'll uncover a level of certainty that no cheering section can give you. And when the rewards finally come, and they will, you'll know that you earned every single one. Not because people believed in you, not because someone handed you an opportunity, but because you refused to leave yourself. The journey to greatness is personal. It's sacred. And yes, it's lonely. But don't let that fool you into thinking you're lost. You're not. You're just further ahead than most are willing to go. You're walking where others turn back. You're staying when others tap out. And in that isolation, in that sacred space, you're becoming the kind of person who doesn't need the world to carry them because they've already learned how to carry themselves. So the next time you feel alone, don't panic. Don't question your path. Don't second guess your worth. Just look around, take a breath, and remind yourself, this is where I find me. Not the version everyone sees, the real one. The one who never quits. Fear doesn't knock once. It keeps coming back, over and over again. It shows up at every new level, every new opportunity, every hard decision. That feeling in your chest, that hesitation in your gut, that voice whispering, what if you're not good enough? That's fear, and it's not going anywhere. You don't outgrow fear. You don't graduate from it. You just get better at moving with it. But most people think fear is a stop sign, that it means turn back, slow down, protect yourself. They think fear is a signal that something's wrong. But here's the truth most never learn. Fear isn't your enemy. Fear is your compass. It points to exactly where you need to go. The uncomfortable conversation, the scary risk, the thing that keeps you up at night because you care that much, that's the door you need to walk through. That's the battlefield where your next level is waiting. Fear isn't the issue. Giving it power is. Because fear will show up and try to lead. It will sit at the head of your table, tell you how to make decisions, tell you what you can and cannot do, what you're allowed to attempt. And most people listen. Most people hand over the wheel without a fight. They let fear decide what they pursue, who they love, where they go, what they risk. They call it being realistic. They call it being cautious. No, that's being ruled by fear. That's letting fear cast a vote. It never earned. Fear can ride in the car, but it doesn't get to drive. It doesn't get to pick the route. It doesn't get to slam the brakes on your future just because it's scared. You can acknowledge fear without obeying it. You can feel terrified and still move forward. That's called courage. Courage isn't confidence. It's not knowing things will work out. It's deciding to move anyway. It's walking into the unknown without proof, without comfort, and saying, even if I'm afraid, I'm going anyway. That's where power lives, not in perfection, but in motion. The strongest people aren't fearless. They're just trained. They've been scared 1,000 times, but they never let fear decide their fate. They've built a habit of doing things afraid. They've learned that confidence comes after the action, not before. That fear is part of the deal, and they stopped arguing with it. Because here's the thing, fear will always have something to say. It'll tell you not to speak up, not to take the risk, not to chase that dream. It'll remind you of every failure, every time you were rejected, every worst-case scenario. And the longer you listen, the louder it gets. Fear grows in silence. It feeds off hesitation. But when you act in spite of it, when you move while it's screaming, something powerful happens. The fear loses its grip. You start to see it for what it really is. A suggestion, not a command, a passing thought, not a permanent truth. And you begin to realize you're not fragile, you're not weak, you're not incapable. You were just letting fear take up space that didn't belong to it. Look around at your life right now. What opportunities have you talked yourself out of? Because of fear, What dreams have you postponed because it didn't feel safe? What have you allowed fear to steal from you? You think fear will protect you, but all it does is prevent you. It doesn't keep you from danger. It keeps you from growth. It doesn't save your life. It shrinks. Every single time you shrink to stay safe, a part of you dies. The bold part, the brave part, the part of you that wants to live fully, speak truthfully, love openly, lead powerfully, that version fades every time you give fear permission to lead. You want to take your power back. Start here. Stop negotiating with fear. Stop asking it for advice. Stop waiting for it to leave. Start acting as if it's irrelevant, because it is. It's noise. It's old programming. It's protection that's no longer needed. The situations you're afraid of now aren't threats. They're thresholds. Fear says, what if I fail? Strength says, what if I learn? Fear says, what if they laugh? Purpose says, what if they're inspired? Fear says, what if I lose everything? Courage says, what if I gain the life I was meant for? You get to decide who you listen to. Fear will always visit. It's part of the human condition. It's your brain trying to keep you safe. But just because fear shows up doesn't mean you have to let it sit in your seat. Let it walk beside you if it must, but never behind you, whispering, and never in front of you, leading. You lead. You move. You act. Fear is not the truth. It's just a feeling. Feelings pass. Truth stays. And the truth is, you are capable. You are ready. You are allowed to move forward, even when you're scared. So don't wait for fear to leave. It might not. Don't wait to feel brave. That may take years. Just move. Now, scared, shaking, uncertain, move anyway. Because the only power fear really has is the power you give it. Take it back. Most people fail, not because they weren't good enough, but because they left the door open to escape. They told themselves they were all in, but deep down, they were only half committed. 1 foot in, 1 foot out, saying things like, if this doesn't work, I can always fall back on plan B. But here's the truth. As long as you have a backup plan, you've already made space for failure. You've already given yourself permission to quit. Real commitment doesn't have a plan B. Real commitment sounds like this: I'm going to make this happen, or I'm going to go down swinging. Because when you're truly committed, there's no more negotiating, no more dabbling, no more testing the water with your toe. You jump in fully, completely, even if it terrifies you. And it should terrify you. That fear means it matters. That risk means you care. But if you keep running back to safety every time it gets uncertain, you'll never cross that invisible line that separates the talkers from the doers. You can't tiptoe your way into transformation. You can't casually become someone great. You either do it or you don't. And the ones who do, they've made a decision. This is happening no matter what. They've burned the safety net, closed the exits, slammed the door behind them and said, there is no turning back. I'd rather fight and fall than live wondering what could have been. Most people never reach that place because they don't trust themselves. They think they need a safety cushion just in case. But that cushion becomes a crutch. And eventually that crutch becomes a cage. You stop pushing as hard. You stop risking. You stop rowing. Because deep down, you've already given yourself an easy out. And if there's one thing that kills potential faster than fear, it's half-heartedness. Half-hearted effort. The half-hearted energy. Half-hearted belief. You'll never break through giving 70%. You'll never build something lasting with one eye on the exit. You'll never become who you're meant to be if you keep one hand on the life you're afraid to leave behind. There's a moment in every journey where you have to decide, are you interested or are you invested? Because interested looks like motivation when it's convenient. Invested looks like discipline when it's brutal. Interested tries until it gets uncomfortable. Invested keeps going until it works. You want to know what changes your life? Unapologetic, full send commitment. The kind where you make failure work for you. The kind where you shut down every internal excuse and say, this is my path. I'm not waiting. I'm not hoping. I'm not playing it safe anymore. I'm doing this. And when you do that, when you actually decide, something shifts inside you, you stop begging for signs. You stop overthinking every move. You stop wasting energy trying to predict the outcome. You just show up and do the work again and again because you're not here to try. You're here to win or die trying. It doesn't mean you don't adjust your strategy. It doesn't mean you ignore wisdom or deny reality. But it does mean that quitting is not an option. Failure might visit you, sure, but you don't bow to it. You don't let it define you. You use it, you bleed from it, you learn from it, but you keep going. That's what burning the backup plan really means. It's not recklessness. It's clarity. It's not ignoring risks. It's prioritizing purpose. It's looking at your dream and saying, I'm not here to flirt with this. I'm here to marry it. Because the truth is, nobody builds something legendary from a place of doubt. Nobody changes the world while holding on to plan B. Every great story you admire, it came from someone who refused to leave room for retreat. They committed, and then they became. So ask yourself this. What are you still clinging to that's keeping you from going all in? What backup plan are you secretly holding on to? Just in case. What part of you is afraid to commit fully? Because you've never seen what happens when you actually do. Burn it. Burn the excuse. Burn the what ifs. Burn the fear of judgment. Burn the version of you that plays it safe. Because the version of you that never quits, that version isn't built on maybes. It's built on commitment, on grit, on choosing to show up with fire when everyone else is looking for an exit. You say you want this? Then prove it. Stop talking about potential. Start acting like someone who's already decided, someone who's not just dipping a toe in the water, but is willing to drown for the cause, because they believe so deeply in who they're becoming. It's not supposed to be safe. It's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be worth it. And the only way it ever will be is if you stop turning around, stop playing small, stop waiting, commit fully, finally, for real. You've heard it all now. The truth about why most people never make it, why they quit, why they fold, why they live with regret dressed up as realism. But you're done playing that game because something inside you is waking up and it's not soft, it's not scared, and it's done quitting. You've been through too much to play small now. You've sacrificed too much to turn back. You've been broken, yes, but not destroyed. You're still here, still breathing, still capable of choosing something different, something great. And now you know quitting is a habit, but so is refusing to. Pain isn't your enemy. Comfort is. The silence of being alone. It's not a curse. It's where you meet yourself. Fear will always knock, but you don't have to open the door. And if you really want to live the life you're meant for, the kind that demands everything from you, you burn the backup plan and you go all in. This world doesn't need more people who quit when it gets hard. It needs warriors. It needs people who can take the hits and keep walking. People who are tired of stopping. Tired of starting over. Tired of being almost. You say you're serious, then prove it. Not once. Not when it's easy. Every single day. Especially when it's not. Because at the end of all this, it won't matter how talented you were, how many ideas you had, how many people told you you've got potential. The only thing that will matter is this. Did you keep going when everyone else stopped? Did you finish what you started? Did you become the version of you who never gave up on yourself? No matter what. If the answer is yes, then you've already won. So write it down. Say it out loud. Tattoo it on your soul if you have to. I will never quit. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not ever. Now go. Be the proof.